In Linux Essentials Lab 11 Basic Scripting, we are going to learn how to use the VI editor and create basic shell scripts using the basic shell commands, variables, and control statements. We're going to create simple shell objects, create shell scripts with conditional execution, and use loops in the script for repetition. We're going to use the VI text editor, as I just mentioned. However, text editors are very similar, so doing something on one text editor is more or less the same as doing it on another text editor. In 11.2 basic text editing, we're told about nano, getEdit, VI, and there's also another one that I don't know if it's listed in here, but it's called VAM, which is basically a more improved version of VI. I've only had experience with nano, but this lab is using VI, so it should be pretty fun. The VI editor has two modes, insert and command. In insert mode, we add text to a document. In command mode, operations such as navigation, searching, saving, and editing the editor can be performed. In 11.2.1, we're going to create a new file by executing the following command, our vi and then my file. If we press enter, we're going to get something like this. We're going to type in I to enter the insert mode of our vi, and then we're going to enter the following text. Whenever I made an error, I just did a backspace and replaced it. And then now I'm going to press the escape key, and this should leave the insert mode. Now we're going to type a colon WQ, and this appears down here, and we're going to write to the file disk and quit. To quit, I think we press enter here, and then we go back to our main header right here. To go back to our text editor, we're just going to type in the same thing, vi my file. Since it already exists, it's going to take us into our editor. It also tells us the name of our file, and it tells us how many lines and how many characters are in here. In 11.2.3, we were showed some keys and function of these keys. The J, K, L, and H I'm not going to use. I'm just going to use the arrow keys for them, but they move just like arrow keys. The W key moves the cursor to the next word. The E moves the cursor to the end of a word, and the B moves the cursor to the beginning of the previous word. If we type any keys that are not listed, we may end up in insert mode. To escape insert mode, all we have to do is press the escape key, then a colon, Q, exclamation mark, and the enter key. This should exit the VI without saving any changes. Then we want to execute the VI my file to get back into our editor. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to type in something like O, and we're inside of the text editor now, so we would be editing in here. If I didn't want to save my changes, like let's say I started typing in here, I would press escape, and now I'm going to type in the semicolon, Q, exclamation mark, and then press enter. We go back in here. I'll go look into the my file again. Pressing enter, we can see that I did not save anything in here. In 11.2.4, we have more VI cursor navigation. The dollar symbol moves the cursor to the end of the current line. The N key will do this also. The 0 moves the cursor to the beginning of the current line, which is also the home key. The 3G jumps to the third line. Any N jumps to the nth line. So we can actually try this. If we type a number, it'll jump to that line. So I'm going to type in 2 and then press Shift G, and it'll take me to that line. And we can do this as long as we have a number in here. It's just going to jump to that nth line. To jump to the very last line, all we have to do is Shift G. In 11.2.5, we need to move the cursor to the beginning of the word vary by pressing the following keys. We want to get the word vary. So to do this, we're going to kind of reset our cursor by doing 3, Shift G, and this just moves it to this line, just to kind of reset it. If we press K, we are going to go up 1, and then we can press 8, and then L. If we press 8L, we're going to get this line. What this means is we're basically getting the 8th letter. So number, and then the letter. If we want to delete a word, we would use the DW command. So we would just press DW, and then this deletes the word. We press the character D, and then the character W right after it. If we want to undo this delete, we will just press U, and this brings back our word, and then it tells us the change before and how long ago. To delete multiple words, we're just going to type a number. In the example, it's 2 words. I'm just going to delete 3 words. So very powerful text should be deleted. We're going to type in the number of words we want to delete, which is 3, and then DW. We can see that all 3 words were deleted. If we want to undo this, again, we would just press U, and this brings it all back. To delete multiple characters at a time, we would just press the X, and it would just delete these characters. So if we do 1X, it deletes one character, another X deletes this character, another one deletes this one, and then another one deletes this one. To undo a certain amount of operations, we would type in the number of operations we wanted to undo, and then the U. So since we deleted four characters, we know that we want to use the undo option 4 times to go back to our normal state. So I'm just going to type in 4 and then U, and this brings back the entire word. To delete 14 characters, we would just type in 14x, so a number before the X representing characters. You can think of this as X amount of characters. To undo this whole thing, we would just press U, and it brings it all back. Now we notice that whenever we're deleting characters, it's deleting it from the right side. It's deleting it across this way. Now if you wanted to delete characters from the left, it's very similar how you move code or text over in a document. You need to use the shift. This part is not what we would normally do, but we would just type a number of how many characters we want to move. So I would just type 5 here, and then shift X, and this deletes the 5 characters to the left. To move stuff over in an IED or Google Docs, for example, it would be shift tab, but since we're moving characters over, we're doing a shift X, and this moves X amount of characters over, deleting those characters. To undo this again, we're just going to do U. To delete our entire line, we would just write DD, and then this just deletes the whole line. Bring this back with a U for undo. Whatever we previously deleted is not actually deleted. Turns out it's more of a cut. And if we delete it, we can paste this somewhere. And to paste, we're just going to type P. So if we type P right here, it's going to go below this line right here, and we can see that we have our text back. To undo the previous 2 operations, or to undo a certain amount of operations, we would type in a number in front of U for undo. So N amount of undos. For here, it'd be 2U, and then we show that we've gotten this back here. To delete multiple lines, we want to have a number in front of our DD, and then it's going to delete whatever's below that. So we'll have 2DD, and then that just deletes those 2 lines. To undo this, we can press U for undo, or remember, since it's cut, we can just press P, and it'll paste it down here. To move to the 4th word and then delete everything after that current position, we're going to use the W option to move to the word. We can see that if we just press W here, we just move to the next word. If we want to move to a specific word, we want to use a number. So to move to 4 in this line, we're just going to press 4W, and we'll move 4 words over. If we wanted to move another 4 words over, we would just do 4W again, and we can see what we're in this next line. But we don't want to do that. We want to be in this line, so we're going to start at it, click 4W, and then delete everything after this by doing a shift and D. We can see that all of this is deleted. There's another way of doing this by using the dollar symbol after our D instead of a shift. I'm going to undo this to bring this back here. To join 2 lines together, all we need is a shift J. So I'm going to be in our second line here. I'll press shift J, and we are joining these 2 lines together. To copy something, because remember, when we delete something, it's a cut. But if we don't want to delete it and we want a copy of something, we're going to type in YW. So now I have copied this word. To paste it, all we have to do is a shift P, and we can see that I have pasted powerful in here. I'm going to undo this, and now we're going to practice by joining 3 lines together. So I'm going to move to the very first line by doing 1 shift G, and then I'm going to do the 3 shift J, and we can see that all of these lines are brought together. In 11.2.8, we are going to join 3 lines together. I'm in our first line, but if we wanted to just move here, we would do a 1 shift G. This brings us to the first line, and then if we want to join all 3 lines, we have a number of how many lines we want to join. This is 3, and then we're going to do a shift J, and this joins everything together. Now if we want to search for and delete the word text, we would use this following command. We want our semicolon. It's going to show us down here. We'll have our % symbol, s/text, and then it wants us to have a space after that, so we're going to have a space //G and press enter. Then we can see that text is removed. If I wanted to undo this, I would just press U. If I didn't have a space in here, we can see what happens. I'll do my colon again, % symbol s/text //G, press enter. We can see that it didn't really make much of a difference. We can navigate between files and press I to insert and add text. If we want to go to the beginning of our file, just a reminder, we're going to do a 1 Shift G. Now we're at the beginning. To enter insert mode, we press I, and now we can write into our file. For this example, we want to write hello and with a space after this. To exit escape mode, we're going to press escape, and we can see that now this is all on one line. However, there is a capital letter here when we want or it should be a lowercase letter. To do this, we're going to move forward one space by pressing the lowercase l or the arrow key and place the cursor over W. We're going to toggle it to a lowercase letter by pressing the tilde, which is usually the character next to the 1. This can be accessed by doing a shift, pressing it, and now we can see that it is a lowercase. I accidentally pressed something here that I shouldn't have, but it did not really affect our code. If I wanted to undo this, I would just press U, and now it's back to being uppercase. Again, to enter here and edit this, I am going to press the shift and back quote, which will give us a tilde, and this makes it a lowercase and then moves it to the next character. To save this, we're going to do a :W and press enter. This saves without exiting. Now let's say we want to add something inside of here. To do that, to get inside of our text editor, we would press A, we would enter insert mode like I just did, and now we could write text in here and it moves the cursor over one to the right. To escape this, just like if we were to escape I, we would press escape. If we want to open a blank line, we'll just type O, and this makes a new line right underneath. That means we're also inside of our text editor and we can write inside of here. So I've done that, but I've made a few errors, and I did a :W to save it and exit it. If I wanted to actually exit this, I would do a :Q exclamation mark, and this will quit. If I go back into my file, I can see that I have this line right here, which I don't want, and then I have this in here, which I don't want also. I don't want these two words together. So to fix this line, I want to delete the current line I'm on, which we've done in the past, and this is DD. This then deletes that line. I can go to the lowercase over here. Right in front of the O, if I'm on the E, I can press A and then have a space in here appended. So I've edited this, and now I can press escape. I can save this without leaving by doing a :W, pressing enter, and we can see that we have fixed my mistake that was totally unplanned. Using the lowercase o, we opened a blank line below the line we're on. To open a blank line above our current line, we're going to do a uppercase O. So Shift O. This opens a line just like this, and it wants us to type in something. We can do this again. So I have finally entered this text. I can press escape to get out of the editor so we won't edit anything anymore. Do a :W to save and press enter, and we can see that we've saved this. In 11.2.45, we are told a couple different commands and their functions. The :X will save and close the file. The :WQ will write to file and quit. The :WQ exclamation mark will write to a read-only file if possible, and then quit. ZZ will save and close, so it's kind of like X, but there's no colon. The :Q exclamation mark will exit without saving changes. The :E exclamation mark will discard changes and reload the file. The :W exclamation mark will write to read-only if possible. We're going to go back into our my file, doing VI my file, and navigate to the third line and delete the third and fourth lines. So to get to our third line exactly, we're going to do a 3 Shift G. Now we're at the third line. To delete the current line and the line below it, we're just going to do 2 DD, and we can see that we have deleted 2 lines. We're going to press escape to get out of the editor mode. And now we are going to quit our editor without saving the changes. So when we come back in here, those 2 lines that we deleted should be back. To quit, we are going to do a :Q, lowercase q, and a exclamation mark. If we press enter, we are back here. I'm going to go back into the VI my file, and we can see that our lines are back in here because we did not save. If we want to search for a word, we can do a / and then the word we want to search for. In this example is line, but I'll do those, and we can see that it moves to the first occurrence of the those. If we want to search for the next instance of our word, we would just press N for next. It says search hit bottom, continuing at top, and that's because we've gone to the bottom and now we'll look for the top. However, this those is the only those in our script. So we can do a / and look for a line. We can see that there is a line right here, If we press N, we'll get to this new line, and then an N right here, and then we can just keep going back and forth between the two. To search backwards, so instead of looking at this one first, and we're going to look at the bottom one first, we would do a question mark and then our word. So we'll type in line here, and then we can see that we get this lower line before we get the top one. If we press N, it will continue wrapping around looking at them. We also get a different kind of error, not really, but kind of an exclamation, where it's saying that the search hit top continuing at bottom, when previously it said the search hit the bottom continuing at top, because we are going up. To replace a word with another word, all we have to do is press CW on this word, and we will be in insert mode, and we can type over this line. So I press CW, now we're going to be in here, and we can see that we have a $sign right here. So I'll write in entry, and then I can press escape, and we can see that our entry is in replace of line. If we want to add text at the beginning of the line, we're going to enter insert mode again and add a line by pressing the uppercase I. So if we go here, I will press a shift I. These are all the different insert modes down here. We can press escape to get out of here and look to add text at the end of a different line. So we're going to move to the second line. I'll do the 2 shift G. Now we're at the second line, and we want to add the phrase indeed. If I do shift A, we will move all the way to the end of this line. We want to get into our editor mode, and this will automatically put us in our editor mode. So I'm going to write a space in here and then indeed with an exclamation mark, and then escape to exit out of this. And we're going to save our changes by doing a :X. This saves and quits. And now we're looking at 11.3, which is basic shell scripting. We're going to take a complex sequence of commands, place them into a file, and then run the file as a program. This will save us time, so we don't have to repeatedly type a long sequence of commands every time we want to use this. To make a simple shell script, all we need to do is create a text file and add commands into it. Then our command line will just run our script after we call the file. And we want to add in this. So what we're going to do is make a file first and be in the VI text editor. So we'll do vi sample.sh. This creates a file. Pressing enter, we're now in our VI text editor. We're going to enter our command, which is echo. I'm going to enter our text editor by pressing I. Now we can edit. I'm going to write the echo command and then the string inside of here. And that is how we are going to write that. To save this, I'm just going to do our :X so we can save and exit. And that is how we do that. Before we make this an actual script, we need to tell our command line that it is a script. To do this, we need to do a £, and then the exclamation mark, also known as the shebang, and the /bin/bash. This will contain the path to the bash shell executable. So we're going to add a new line above by doing a shift O. This makes a new line. So we're going to do our hashtag !bin/bash, and then escape. Now we're going to save and quit, so we'll do a :X and press enter, and we're back here. Now to run this, we're going to use bash and then call our file, which is sample.sh. And we have written our command. That's pretty cool. It even highlights our current day of the month. Instead of writing bash in front of the file name, we can make it an executable for all users. So right now, if we do ls-l and then sample.sh, we can see that these are the current permissions for it. Well, to make it an executable for all, we're going to do a change mod, and then we're going to look at all users, so the users, group users, and other, plus x. This will add the executable for all users, and then the file name, which is sample.sh. If we press enter, we can list this again, and we can see that everyone has an executable. So we'll run this by just doing a ./sample.sh. Pressing enter here, we can see that we can just run this, and we don't need the bash as we did up here. In 11.3.5, we're shown backquoting, and this is a technique to run a shell command within another shell command. So we're basically running a command inside of another command, and we can display this by going back into our vi sample.sh file, and we're going to add a few things. So we're going to go below our calendar line, and then we're going to add an echo, today is, and then after this I'm going to exit out of this. And then I'm just going to do an A. This will give us one to the right. And then I'm going to have a backquote, date, plus the %, uppercase A, and then another backquote. We'll see what this does in a second. We want to escape from here, so we're going to do escape, and then a :X to save and quit. I'll clear everything that we have here. And now if we just want to see the arguments, so the actual script that we wrote, all we have to do is cat and then our file name, which is sample.sh. And now we can see everything that we wrote inside of our file. To actually execute this, we'll do /, our file name, which is sample.sh, and then we can see that we have all of this here. It seems I made a mistake in my script right here. There should not be an X inside of it, so we will go back and edit this. So I will do a vi sample.sh. Now we're back in here. We can see I accidentally have this X right here, so I'm going to go over into it and then press X, ironically enough, to get rid of that character. Now I'm going to save and quit by doing :X, pressing enter, and then trying to run our .sample.sh again. And I still have the error where I don't have a plus in front of our percentage sign. So I'm going to go back inside of here, and it's because I have a space in between them. So I'm going to delete this space by pressing X, and then escape, :X to save, and then running the command again, and we can see that it gets the correct date here. We're using this // to indicate that our file is in our current directory. If we did not use the //, so if we had just sample.sh, we're going to get an error, command not found. We need to show what directory it's in. It's the current directory, the // so it's one directory up, the /sample.sh. We can recall and see the actual path for this by doing echo, the $, and then an uppercase path, and then we're going to see our path for our system admin account. Our /home/systemadmin/bin is one of the directories in the path variable. This is a great place to put our script shells. So we are going to make a directory here and call it bin. Now we've made our directory. We are going to move, using the move command from our previous lab, our file name, which is sample.sh, into our bin by doing this, pressing enter, and all we have to do now is just sample.sh. And now it runs like this. And the reason is because we moved it into a directory up here. So if I do ls-l, we can see all of the directories right here, and we can see that our bin is one of them. If I change the directory into the bin, and I do ls-l, we can see that our sample.sh is inside of here. I'll go back to our user by just doing cd, and that's how we move things and store our files. In 11.4, conditional and repetitive execution, we're going to look at scripting with loops. In 11.4.1, we are going to be looking at the if statement and test statements. So this is conditional expression. An if statement is pretty self-explanatory. If this is true, then something will execute. The test statement compares two numbers or two strings for things like equal to or less than and etc. We're going to create the following drive.sh file and make an executable to see how the if and test statements work. So first, in our command line, we're going to do a vi drive.sh. This brings us to our text editor and our drive.sh new file. To start this off, we want to start writing. We're going to press I to enter our text editor, the hashtag !bin/bash. This way we're writing in our bin and we're sending it to bash. We're going to go to the next line and write our prompt. Now we're going to get user input. To get user input, we're going to use the read command. So we'll have read, and then we're going to store it in age. Now we're going to have an if statement. We're going to say if, and then we're going to call our test. We can also put this in brackets like this, but I'm just going to use the test. If test, and then we're calling age, so we're going to have a $. Age is less than 16. Then we're going to go on our next line and have a then, and then a result from this. So this is basically saying if the user input is less than 16, we are going to print out you are not old enough to drive. Otherwise, we're going to have an else statement that says that we can drive. And after this, we just want to end our script. To do this, we're just going to have an fi. Now we can exit our text editor by pressing escape, the :X to save and quit. If we want to see our script, we'll do a cat, and then the name of our script, which is drive.sh. Pressing enter here, we can see all of our script right here. Now if we want to actually run it, we'll do /drive.sh. And I don't have permission, so it says right here that we need to change the permission. We can show that we don't have permission by doing the ls-l drive.sh. We don't have the execute permission. So to change this, we're going to use the change mod command, all plus execute and then our file name, which is drive.sh. Now everyone should have the ability to execute. So we're going to try to run this again. It says, please enter your age. Let's say I'm 21. I can drive. We'll try this again. Enter our age. Let's say if I'm 15, I am not old enough to drive. If we enter anything other than an integer, our program will crash. So if we just enter like 80, well, it kind of breaks. So should make sure not to do that. We're showing that this is the other way to write the test. So we're going to try this again by going into our text editor. I'm going to clear this, do a vi drive.sh. Now we're back in here, and we're going to go down to our if statement where we have our test. And instead of writing test, we're going to get rid of this and then just have a brace right here and then a brace at the end of this line right here. I'm also going to get rid of this I don't know why it's there, but this is what our new code should look like now. We're getting rid of the then, and everything else is going to remain the same. So we'll exit out of here by doing a :x and then run this command again by doing a /drive.sh. Enter our age. We can do 20. I can drive, and I'll do 9. I am not old enough to drive, so it works just the same. It's important to note that there has to be spaces around our bracket. So I'll go back into our editor, and we can see that right here we have a space between our bracket and our actual script, and this is important, otherwise it will not work. In 11.4.3, we're told that we can manipulate the outcome of other shell commands as they return success or failures. For example, we're going to create a check.sh and see what comes from this. So we're going to do a vi check.sh. We're creating a file and we're going into our text editor. We're going to start this off by pressing I to enter our editor. We'll do a hashtag !bin/bash. That way we're in our /bin/bash. Then we want a prompt. So we're going to have echo and then a prompt, which is to read the username. And then we're going to read the name like this. So we're going to take some kind of input. Next, we want our if statement. So we'll say if our grep, and then we'll have the $name in our /etc/password directory. And this is going to go to a new directory /dev/null. So our if statement is saying if our grep command has this name in this directory, we're going to be moving it into this directory. Then we're going to print out either our echo and then the actual name saying that it is in the system. Otherwise, we're going to have an else command that prints out that the name does not exist. And then lastly, we're just going to end this with a fi. Going over this again, first we have this echo enter a username at check. The user enters the username, and then we're going to say if grep this name is in here and can go to here, then we're going to print out that the name is on the system. Otherwise, we're going to print this out. We're going to escape :x to save and exit. Then we're going to do a cat check.sh. This shows our entire script. We want to make it an executable for everyone, so we'll do a change mod a+x and then our file, which is check.sh. Then we're actually going to run this by doing a /check.sh. We're going to enter a username. We're going to check root. Root is on the system. I'm going to run it again, and then we're just going to put Bobby, and we're going to see that Bobby does not exist. So this is a way to use commands to check for things. Next, we're going to learn about the while loop. This statement is used to execute code repetitively as long as the conditional statement returns true. We're going to create a new file, num.sh. Now we're going to be in our text editor, and we're going to enter these commands. So we're going to enter our prompt here, and then we're going to read what the user inputs. The user input is going to be a number. We're going to read this and store it into our number, and we're going to say while, and then we need a test variable. The number is less than 100. We're going to be in this kind of loop, and our loop is going to run from do to done as long as our condition is true. So as long as our number is less than 100. This is pretty cool. We actually have a prompt inside of our loop, and that'll try to reassign our number that's stored in the num. We're going to take user input once again here after prompting them to enter a new number greater than 100, because our loop is going to run as long as our number is less than 100. We're storing it in here, and then we'll have done. And if our number is still less than 100, it's going to loop in our while loop again. When we break out of our loop, we are going to write this echo statement. So we can escape :x, press enter, and we are out here. We are going to show our code by doing cat num.sh, and this shows everything in our file. We want to change mod to give everyone the permission to execute. So we're going to change mod all plus x, so give everyone the command, and then the file, which is num.sh. Now we're going to actually run it by doing /num.sh. If we press enter, we need to enter a number. I'm going to do 4. It's not greater than 100. We got to enter a new number. 6. Nope. If we do 101, we can see that we finally have a number that is greater than 100. So this works. And this works because our statement, our initial statement, now is false because our number is greater than 100. We demonstrated how to use loops inside of a file, but we can also do it in our command line. So I'm going to clear everything we have here and then do the example that they have for us. So we have a for name in /etc/password. This is basically checking for these specific directories, and we're listing multiple. That way we can check multiple. When we have a file or a program that does this for us, it'll automatically check all the directories. It kind of gives us a editor inside of our command line. We're going to have a do. We can press enter again. We get another arrow, and then we're going to see WC. And this is basically searching the $name. If we press enter here, we can add a done. And once we have done, then our command line knows that we're done with this loop. If we press enter, we are going to get these. The WC command is run 3 times in this loop. Once to check this directory, another to check this directory, and another to check this directory. Another command that's kind of new is the sequence command, the seq command, and this can be used in conjunction with the for statement. The seq command can generate a list of integer values, for instance 1 to 10, 1 to 20, any integers, and we're going to create a couple of files. So I'll leave this here. But we want to do a for loop because we have a finite number of files that we want to create. We want to create 1 through 12. So we're going to say for num in sequence. And actually this example is pretty good. Before we even do this, we're going to list all the files in our directory. We have all of this here. I'm not sure why we have a sample.sh, but we could easily remove that by doing an rm sample.sh. And if we do ls again, we can see that it's no longer in here. So I'm going to run our for loop for number in, and then we're going to have our back quote sequence 1 space 12, and this makes our sequence. Also, we're following that up with the back quote. I also need to spell sequence correctly. So we're going to have the sequence, the number we're starting at, and then the number we're ending at, both surrounded in back quotes. This is our for loop. We go to the end, press enter. Now we can write in our loop. We have do. We can create a new file by using the touch command, and then we'll call it test. And this is basically just the start of our file name. So we have test, and then the rest of our file name is going to be based off whatever sequence number we're in at the time. We're going to have the $num, so we're kind of calling the number, and this number is going to iterate every single time. So it's basically going to be file 1, file 2, or in this case test 1, test 2, test 3, so on and so forth. So we're going to end this code by doing a done. Compiler knows that we're done. Command line knows that we're done. If we do ls here, we can see that we have a bunch of tests. And that is the end of this lab. So those are the basics of basic scripting, Lab 11. If you want more videos, the entire series is in a playlist below, as well as all the notes I used to study for this material. And if it helped you out in any way, consider giving a like. I really appreciate it. Good luck on your studies.